As I
Okay.
often say, to err is human, to really mess things up, you need technology.
All right. I think we're recording now.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. All right. Well, Rebecca Lopez Chris, the Deputy Commissioner for Policy Outreach and Taxpayer Assistance Programs for the City of Philadelphia. Thank you so much for joining us.
Absolutely. I'm really happy to be here.
So before we get into some of these programs, can you tell us a little bit about the Revenue Department and what you do there?
Sure. So the Department of Revenue is in charge of collecting all the taxes, water charges, and fees that come to the city of Philadelphia. And that is all of the funds that support our school system, uh, services like trash removal and parks and libraries and police service and all those sorts of things. That's all, and also your water service. So we collect almost $6 billion a year. So it's a pretty exciting place to work. My role as a deputy for outreach is outreach and tax policy and taxpayer assistance is I help come up with some of the tax policies that affect taxpayers and residents and businesses. And also I work with a group of folks who are almost like a SWAT team for outreach. Like an outreach to us means any way that we communicate with taxpayers. So that's everything from the forms to the instructions to our website to in-person events, flyers, anything that we're doing and that taxpayers are going to experience, we work on that. And also, there's a little operational group in my book of business that is the taxpayer assistance group, and they process like some 30,000 applications every year for taxpayer assistance for real estate.
And one of the key things that's happening right now, property tax assessments are going out. People can find that information online, but there'll also be mailed information about the property tax assessment. What are some of the programs available to Philadelphians that can help if they're behind on their taxes or
Sure.
having trouble?
Let me back up just 1 second. So the Office of Property Assessment, which is different from revenue, is the office that is responsible for assessing all of the properties in Philadelphia. And they have recently sent out letters to folks. So folks should expect to get a letter in the mail for their property. They can also look at property.phila.gov and look up their address if they want to see what the assessed value for 2025 is. And again, that's going to be the value that we base your property tax bill on. There's also a little calculator on property.phila.gov that will show what the potential tax bill is with the new homestead exemption. Like, so the new value of the homestead exemption, which is last year it was $80,000. In 2025, it's going to be $100,000, which basically means that anyone who has it is saving almost $1,400, $1,399 on their tax bill. So that's one thing. Also in the mail, when you get your assessment, don't panic, don't freak out. There are instructions on how to appeal that assessed value, both with the Bureau of Revision of Taxes and then also with do a first level review with the Office of Property Assessment. All those instructions are included in the mailing. Use the form that they've sent you and talk to your neighbors and take a look at what else is happening in your neighborhood. So I think you have until October 7th to appeal or request a first level review. Okay.
And go ahead.
I was just gonna say, so since we got that out of the way, I know you wanted to talk about the programs that exist to help folks. So there's a couple of things. Like one, there are programs that help reduce your tax bill and keep it at a certain level, and also programs for folks who have delinquent taxes on their property, who have fallen behind on their taxes. And Philadelphia has very strong protections for owner occupied properties. So this is just for the property that you own and you live in. You don't have to have the mortgage cleared outright, but if you have a mortgage on your property and you're living in it and it's considered your primary residence, you can get into a number of programs that are going to help you reduce your tax bill. The first one is homestead, which, like I said, the homestead exemption is, it basically reduces the assessed value of the property by $100,000. And I think that that sometimes can be confusing, right? So people are like, well, where's my $100,000? What are you talking about? And really what that translates to is a reduction in your taxes. So if your house was assessed at a value of $300,000, with the new homestead exemption, we are only going to tax you on $200,000. So you're going to save $1,399, just about. And so that's something that is anyone can get into. Doesn't require, there's no income, there's no age limitations. Anyone who owns and lives in their home can get that program. And I really encourage people to take a look, because that property.phila.gov website will tell you if you have it or not. If you already have it, you don't have to do anything. The new increase that is going to happen for 2025 will be applied to the account automatically. And you never have to reapply unless there's some sort of change to your deed. Like maybe you've, well, certainly if the property is sold, but also if like you refinance or, add or remove a person from the deed, sometimes that can also knock off the homestead. So it's important that folks know that and reapply if they need to. So that's a big one. Another one that I think is really important, especially for seniors, is the senior citizen tax freeze. This is a program that's been around for a long time, and it really supports low income senior citizens. So if folks are eligible for PACENet at the state level, then they are eligible for the senior citizen tax freeze, so long as they're over 65. There's some other like caveats too, like you could be a widow, but your spouse was over 65, or so that's one thing to keep in mind. Also, I'm going to put all the links to these in the chat. We have vanity URLs for all of these. The thing that's really great about Senior Freeze that's different than before is that now if folks can tell us that they were eligible, if they can show that they were eligible for the senior citizen tax freeze back to 2018, we will freeze the assessed value at the 2018 value. That's the way the program works. We look at the value for, let's say, 2024, you qualify for the program, we freeze it, and then from then on, your tax bill is going to be the same so long as you're eligible for the program and so long as you still live in that house. So, again, that is a very, very powerful program for our vulnerable seniors. The current eligibility is $33,500 a year for a single person, or $41,500 for a married couple. And it's important to, I think people sometimes think, oh no, I make more than that. So sometimes we like to break that down into a monthly number, and then people kind of get a better sense of whether or not they qualify. So for example, for a single person, if their income is less than $2,700, $2,791, they would qualify. And then again, for a married couple, it's $3,400. So I think if people see those numbers, then they realize more that they could be eligible for this program. A new program that is very similar to Senior Freeze, and this is brand new, we don't even have an application out for it yet, is the low income tax freeze. And that works very similar to the senior tax freeze in that if you meet the income eligibility and you're living in your primary residence, you can freeze your taxes in perpetuity. But again, you have to qualify with the income that I just said, but what happens, the only difference is that we can't go retroactive with low income tax freeze. That's just for this year. It starts right now, and it starts for the tax year 2025. And so I encourage people to look at those programs. Like I said, your tax bill, even if their assessed value goes up or the rate goes up, that bill is going to stay the same. And if the assessed value goes down, we're going to reduce the bill. It's always going to be the lowest that it could possibly be. Another program that is a little bit more complicated, I almost feel like we need a diagram, But fortunately, we put together a lot of materials online at phila.gov/loop, LOOP. That is a program that will cap the assessed value of your property. So if your property increased by 50% from the previous year, basically did it double, we will cap your assessed value at 1.5 times. But with this program, you do not get the homestead. Also, you're eligible if over 5 years, the value of your home is increased by 1.75 times. So I know that math sounds like kind of complicated, but we have put together really great, I don't want to say calculator, but like forms that you can easily write in what you need to do and do the calculations. The thing that's really confusing for folks is that you can't have homestead and loop at the same time. And so it's up to the homeowner to figure out if they will want homestead or if they want loop. If they opt out of loop, they can't get back in unless they qualify again. But for some folks, homestead is going to be a better deal. And it really depends on whether or not they think they're going to stay in that home for a long time and whether or not loop will be better for them. The income requirements for that are much higher than the tax freeze programs. We have that on our website, and those change every year. But currently, for a family of 4, the maximum income is $137. Oh my gosh, $137,000. So it's a lot higher, and I think it helps protect a lot more middle income families. Now, for folks who have fallen behind on their taxes, we have an owner occupied payment agreement. Here's the thing with revenue. We will get you into a payment agreement no matter what. We have different terms for various payment agreements, right? So if you come to us and you say, listen, I owe you guys taxes, we will find a way to put you in a plan. So the difference for homeowners, for owner occupied properties, is that they have very, very generous terms, and they also are then protected from sheriff's sale. So there's nobody in the city who should be worried about a tax foreclosure if they live in their home. So the only thing that changes with the owner occupied payment agreement are the amount that you have to pay each month. So some folks are going to qualify for a $0 a month payment agreement. So it's really, really important that the second somebody feels like they're going to have a problem, they call us. We want to get them into a program. We want to get them enrolled for anything that they're going to be eligible for, and make sure that we protect their home. There's one last thing I want to mention, and that is, if you're a senior, and let's say you have your mortgage paid off, right? And for most folks, when they pay a mortgage, they're also paying their taxes every month. So it kind of comes out like a monthly payment, and they're actually prepaying. But for seniors who don't have a mortgage, they don't have the chance to do that. So what we do is, for any senior in the city, they can apply for what's called the real estate tax installment plan. And that's where we will break up their payment into 11 payments starting in February. And then they have until December of that year to pay their entire tax bill. And we send them a bill every month. And it's a helpful reminder that they owe us some taxes. And that way, for folks who are, let's say, on a fixed income and don't have like this lump sum to pay their taxes, they have an opportunity to pay monthly. Now, all seniors are eligible for that. However, if you are low income, and again, we have the income eligibility on our website, then you are also eligible for this. So for a family of 4, the monthly maximum income is like $4,779. So again, sometimes it helps if we break things down by monthly payment, by monthly income, so people can help wrap their heads around it. That is it, kind of in a nutshell. Again, I'll put all those links in the chat. But I think, generally speaking, Philadelphia has really progressive assistance programs. Not many locations have programs like this, and we are really excited to bring the low income wage tax freeze online. Folks can apply for any of these programs online on the tax center, which you can find at tax-services.phila.gov. And that website is mobile enabled, so you can do it on your phone. You can just take pictures of the documentation if you're required to submit documentation. Or it's very easy for someone to help you do that. If you just use your phone, you don't need a username and password to apply online. But we're always going to have paper, right? We will always have a paper application. You can find those online. You can also call the the city's hotline, which is 686-9200. And they can also send you applications in the mail. You can also call us, and that's at 215-686-6442. Any other questions?
Yeah. So what kind of engagement efforts will the city be making to make sure people know about these programs?
Oh, that's a great question. We are embarking upon a very comprehensive program to reach kind of general audiences, but also very niche audiences in census tracts that we think are most vulnerable. So everyone can expect a letter from the mayor in the mail. Mayor Parker has been adamant that she wants to have, everyone should have a letter. And so we want to make sure that every household at least gets a letter that outlines those 4 major programs. They also, it's possible we may text you. You may find us on social media. We plan to do radio ads and some television ads. And again, those are all like big general messages, like call us. You know, you are eligible for a homestead. You know, you may be eligible for a freeze on your taxes. So there's that. And then also we've done a lot of work, and we'll be working closely with city council members to look at what census tracts are really vulnerable. And we want to direct things like potentially door to door, like I said, texting, like those sorts of things, potentially phone calls to follow up once we show up at the door. We're hopeful that we leave no stone unturned.
All right. I'd like to bring Denise Clay Murray here on Philadelphia.
Yes, thank you for joining us. We really appreciate it. My question is about some of the payment plans, particularly some of the programs. Sometimes when you're trying to pay on something like a bill or something, and you're dealing with poverty, meaning that you sometimes have to choose between whether you're going to pay rent on time or whether you're going to put food in your refrigerator, you miss a payment.
Mm-hmm.
Can people who are paying as part of these, as like a repayment program or a tax payment program, if you miss a payment, how do you get back on track? Are you able to get back on track, or do you have to like reapply for the whole process?
So it really depends. When somebody is missed a payment, they usually get a letter that says, hey, by the way, you missed a payment, you're at risk of breaching your agreement. So there is a little bit of a grace period. We want folks to get back on track. I think the goal of the department isn't to be super punitive. We want to make it as easy as possible to pay your fair share. And so I think, you know, there are some agreements that are what we call a standard agreement, and that's for folks who don't live in a home, that it's maybe it's a commercial property owner or it's a business tax. Like, we're a little bit more strict with those taxes. I think with UPAs, generally speaking, you get a notice that says, hey, you missed your payment. And then you'll get another notice that says, hey, you're going to breach your contract with us. And if they breach the contract, then they do need to reapply. And so we hope that if we get to that point, we get a phone call from that person. Ideally, because of the way UPA is structured, the monthly payment is affordable for that person, right? It's based on a person's income is what the payment is. And, in the past, a long time ago, before I ever even joined the department, the department used to require like 50% down and, had to pay it off in a year. And we don't do that anymore. Like UPAs can go on for as long as you own the property, depending on your income. Similarly, if you owe business taxes, like we can extend that out to 60 months, so I think we've tried to take a stance that is more supportive for taxpayers than punitive. And so again, if somebody has a change in their income and they suddenly cannot make that payment, then they should reach out and we can reevaluate what the terms are of their agreement. Like I said, folks who are very low income could have like a $0 amount payment agreement. And the next tier up is $25 a month for payment agreement. So we definitely want to keep people in their homes.
Okay, now what constitutes a breach of your agreement? How many months do you have to have been late or have missed a payment before it becomes a breach of agreement? I ask this because these are the kinds of questions that our listeners, when they hear this, they're going to be concerned what constitutes breach of agreement.
Sure. I need to follow up internally because I don't want to misspeak. And I want to make sure that I get the owner occupied payment program, that one absolutely correct. So I will get back to you on that. I can send you.
All right, great. And we can put
Yeah.
it in the Hall Monitor newsletter and send it out.
Yeah, absolutely.
So do you feel like there is more pressure on the revenue department this year, especially in light of some of the things that are in the city budget, like cleaning all of the city streets and cleaning up things in Kensington and having, services for people who are dealing with addiction? Do you feel like there's kind of more pressure on the revenue department to get taxes paid so that these city services can be provided?
I don't think that I think Philadelphia's, some of Philadelphia's big city problems are things that we've struggled with for a long time. And so I don't think the pressure's really changed because we've always wanted to offer various services. And so I think, we have a comprehensive budget that, we've done a number of things like increased our contribution to the school district, or we have any number of important initiatives that are always important. So in some ways, I find this work to be really gratifying because what we do is help protect people, help support kids, help make neighborhoods better places to live. And I don't think that changes from year to year. Every year we know that there are kids who need help. We know that there are folks who need help, and we are here to help support that effort.
Now, from the standpoint of there might be someone listening to this program who's like really, really good with numbers and needs a job. Is the revenue department hiring?
Oh, we are. Absolutely. I think people have heard that statistic that 1 in 5 city jobs is vacant. That is true. That is absolutely true. A lot of our positions are through the civil service. So I encourage folks who have any kind of background, and you don't even have to have a background in numbers, to apply to the civil service, and they will kind of put you on a path and kind of fit you in where your skills match and where you want to go. A number of our positions start with a high school degree. Not everything requires college degree. And a number of departments have really changed their hiring strategies in order to get more people in the door. So I absolutely, please, yes, if you like talking to people, that's one thing that's required in revenue. You got to like talking to people because we talk to people all day and they're always mad at us. So if you you've got good customer service skills and you're a problem solver and you have some initiative, please, absolutely. Yeah. Sign up for the civil service.
Okay, well, thank you so much for sharing some of your time with us and for giving us this really good information that people will hopefully benefit from, especially if you're a senior citizen or you're low income and you're looking at your tax bill and screaming as you run out the door.
Yeah,
So-
yeah. I mean, I think the first message is don't panic. Don't panic. We estimate that an additional 60 to 70,000 people who are not enrolled in a freeze program are eligible. And so that's a huge number, right? And so we have a lot of work to do to get to those people.
Okay. Well, again, thank you so much for your time, and I'm going to give you back to Larry McGlynn, my co-host, and you're listening to Hall Monitor on WPPM 106.5.
All
Great.
right. Thank you, Denise. And before we let you go, can you give us that website one more time so people can find these programs?
Sure. So if you want to sign up online, you can go to tax-services.phila.gov. But if you want to hear about any of the programs, like so Homestead, phila.gov/homestead, senior citizen tax freeze, phila.gov/senior-freeze, phila.gov/loop, LOOP, and phila.gov/UPA, OOPA, owner occupied payment agreement. So those will take you to the programs and all of the eligibility. If you need a paper form, you can find one there. And also, if you're a community member and you want to share something about these programs, we have flyers. Like we keep, we attend events in person all the time. We have flyers ready to go. So if you work in your neighborhood or you're a block captain or somebody who wants to just share news about Homestead with their neighbors, there are materials there that folks can download and print.
All right. Rebecca Lopez. Chris, thank you so much for joining us.
Absolutely. And I'll look forward to talking again.